Thank you. Hi, this is Lane8492. This is the first of two true crime stories I'm doing today. This is segment 2 on Indiana death row inmate Roy Lee Ward, who is set for execution on October 10th at the Indiana State Prison in Michigan City, Indiana. As I previously mentioned in my first true crime video on Roy Lee Ward was convicted in the sexual assault and brutal murder of 15-year-old Stacy Lynn Payne. He had been scoping the house where she lived with her younger sister Melissa Payne, and her parents. Apparently, Stacy Lynn Payne and Melissa Payne's parents had left to go to work, and he waited till the coast was clear. And he knocked on the door of the Payne residence, saying that he was looking for a lost dog of his, and that's how he gained entry to the house. And while Melissa Payne was taking her nap, she had awakened to a scream from her sister, Stacy Lynn Payne, and there she saw the perpetrator, Roy Lee Ward, attacking her to where sadly Roy Lee Ward had violated Stacy Lynn Payne and stabbed her with a knife. The crime was so brutal by what Roy Lee Ward did, and that ended up putting Roy Lee Ward on death row. As it turned out, Roy Lee Ward was a known sex offender convicted of multiple crimes of indecent exposure. And he was receiving sex offender treatment for his sick, perverted deeds. And now what I have learned is that his lawyers have been arguing that Roy Lee Ward had autism. Here's the thing. I also have autism myself, and I grew up with it. But here's what else. Autism is definitely and should not ever be considered an excuse for Roy Lee Ward to go out and wrench the life away from somebody else the way he did to 15-year-old Stacy Lynn Payne. It is no excuse for Ward to be doing that. And he needs to face the consequences of what he did to that 15-year-old girl who had her whole life ahead of her. And from what I've learned, from what I've read in the Indiana Capitol Chronicle, the Clemency Board of Indiana has recommended that clemency be rejected to Roy Lee Ward, and Governor Michael Braun has declined to intervene on behalf of Roy Lee Ward. So now Ward has only one more appeal pending. That's before the SCOTUS, but it's highly unlikely that they'll intervene. I'm not going to use power of tongue as it says in the Bible, but I don't think they'll intervene. This will be the third execution in Indiana in 15 years after a 15-year hiatus on executions in the state of Indiana. See, in December of 2024, after a 15-year hiatus, Indiana executed Joseph Edward Corcoran. And months ago, Indiana executed Benjamin Donnie Ritchie, who was convicted of fatally shooting a police officer. And of course, I did a true crime video on him as well. So on the day before his execution, Roy Lee Ward will be transferred from his death row cell to the building at the Michigan State Prison, at the Indiana State Prison in Michigan City, Indiana, where he'll spend his last hours on death watch. And it'll be shortly after midnight on Friday, October 10th, that Roy Lee Ward will be executed. And of course, from the looks of it, Stacy Lynn Payne's family will probably plan to witness Ward's execution. And after Roy Lee Ward is executed, I think the next one who the Attorney General of Indiana will probably request an execution date for will be that of Eric Darnell Holmes. Now, once the execution of Eric Darnell Holmes is ever said, if it ever is, I'll do a true crime video on him. But until then, I'm not doing a true crime video on Eric Darnell Holmes. This is solely on segment 2 on Roy Lee Ward. This is Lane8492. I have an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, and master's degree in criminal justice. Hope you enjoy this video and let me know what you think. Thanks.